Vincent Van Doughnut started out as a truck.
Correct, 2013.
And then your first location was in Clayton.
Correct.
And now you have this location. I mean, you've grown pretty fast.
I got kind of obsessed with donuts in 2010. My wife is in the hair industry. We were in Berlin. And Dunkin' Donuts, oddly enough, are huge over there, and all the patisseries and the fancy pastries. And there was a lot of neat stuff going on over there, and realized that it didn't exist in St. Louis at the time. So the elevated kind of artisanal, from scratch stuff is what I wanted to focus on. And that's been kind of what set us apart this whole time.
There are lots of donuts in St. Louis.
A lot of donuts.
Yeah, across America there are tons.
Oh, absolutely.
So how did you develop your recipe to be unique?
I've been in the restaurant business for 26 years. I've worked for some really cool people, from bars to like high-end hotels, and I was a suit for a while, and I got to work for Gerard Kraft. And so we try to do different things that are inspired by other things in the culinary world, and the classics are there for a reason too. But we are constantly looking for different inspiration.
So which do you think is better, the yeast or the cake?
I'm a yeast fan.
And how long did it take you to develop that recipe?
I still work on it. I think I've got the yeast one pretty much set. But it took me well over 2 years to get to where I was even happy with it.
That's amazing. So why do you make your donuts square?
You get 2 chances to roll the yeast dough. The first one, when you roll out, you cut it, then you can use the re-roll, and you can roll that back out, even though it's a little bit thicker at that time and denser. Then you get that last roll, and then you're supposed to discard the dough. Well, if you cut squares, you only get the perimeter as the
waste.
As the excess.
Oh, that's great. So donuts are one of those things that you can easily find yourself craving. People bring boxes of donuts into work, and they're the hero for the day.
That's right.
You know, it's one of those, grab a donut, have a cup of coffee. So as an eater, I can see being kind of obsessed with the donut. But as a chef, what was it about the process that made you love it so much that you spent 2 years just developing your first recipe?
I don't know. I got so obsessed with it, because, to the point where I couldn't even go 5 minutes throughout the day without thinking about it. My wife finally said, you got to do something about that. Like, if you leave me alone, stop talking about it and do something, or else move on.
Yeah.
I was constantly working on it at night, and I'd do it, and I'd use family, and I'd even talk with other pastry chefs and kind of pick their brains and whatnot, because it's a self-taught thing. I never went to culinary school. I never learned this stuff, so I kind of just taught myself how to do it.
And so 2 shops and a truck later.
That's right. I mean, the consistency is huge. So, you should be able to come to the Grove, you should be able to go to the truck, you should be able to go to Clayton and get the same product.
These donuts are awesome. They really are. I mean, these yeast donuts, the square ones, they have a slight chew to them.
Yeah.
And a really nice pillowy quality. And then because all of the toppings are made by hand, the flavors are really, really pure. So you're not using extracts.
Right.
You're not using anything fake.
As long as you have a good base, then you can just build on top of it.
Isn't that true of everything in life, essentially?
I suppose so, yeah.
So
yeah.
donuts actually are a
Donuts
metaphor for life.
That's right. Donuts are life.
Can we get back in the kitchen and see the rest of these donuts come together?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go.
I kind of worked my way into the position. Initially, when I came in, I did not have any work experience in baking. And I was actually pretty interested in the decorating process. I like to make my food look really nice and neat and just pretty and presentable. But there's a whole lot that goes into it before we get to that final pretty looking donut. And I had to learn all that pretty much from the ground up. So here we have liquid egg. This is going to make up a good chunk of our recipe. Most of our dry ingredients are here in this bowl, along with our shortening. We're going to toss this in the big mixing bowl. Whenever you throw all that flour in there, it's going to collect all the liquid up and turn into a nice big giant ball of dough. One batch for us typically makes 160, 170 donuts. The bread is pretty thick and heavy compared to most donuts, which I personally prefer because it doesn't feel like I'm biting into fluff. It tastes like I'm actually biting into good bread. The majority of our toppings are all made pretty much from scratch. So, we have to do all that in one night, plus make the actual dough itself. We do all the cooking overnight, and then hopefully we're done by 2 in the morning. Sometimes it runs later. If we have 500 donuts to make in a night, then sometimes we might not get out until 4 a.m.
So the hustle bustle of the day has died down. It's about 7 o'clock at night. It's getting kind of dark outside, and this is when the donuts are made.
That's right. The process can take up to 12 hours. We start at 6 p.m. at night, and then sometimes they're walking out of here at 5:30 a.m. You mix the dough, you've got to cut it, you've got to sheet it, it has to proof, and it ferments basically. And then you fry it, and then you have to glaze it.
My favorite donut is the chocolate chip cookie, which is cheesecake glaze with typical streusel, chocolate chips, and ganache.
There's something very comforting to know that while we're sleeping, all tucked in our beds,
That's right.
you guys are here making the donuts. I love that.
That's what we do.